Hello, my darlings. You are so very, very welcome. This is the Light Work Podcast, and I have another fucking amazing guest. I didn't even mean to swear in the first few words, but I have an amazing guest with me today, Lisa Turner, and we're going to have such an interesting conversation today. I can't wait to get started. Just to remind you that if you go to ashleymooney.com/podcast, you can sign up, make sure you're subscribed, and you'll get every new episode that drops on Tuesdays and Thursdays every week. So before we dive into this episode, I'm just going to quickly share with you a little bit about Lisa, a quick introduction, and then we're going to dive right in. So, Dr. Lisa Turner works with visionary leaders, change makers, and spiritually curious individuals. That's all of us who feel stuck or blocked in achieving goals. She helps us to overcome inner limitations, align with our soul's purpose, and create thriving, soul aligned businesses. That is what everybody wants on this podcast. As the founder of CETfreedom and creator of the Conscious Emotional Transformation Method, CET, Lisa integrates advanced esoteric tools, neuroscience, and leadership principles to empower profound personal and professional transformation. And oh my God, I just cannot wait to dive into this conversation. So over to you, Lisa. Say hello, introduce yourself.
Hello, I am beside myself with excitement being here, and just what we were chatting about just before. It's like I can't wait to, you know what it's like when you're the sort of person who gets really good and big. Well, I think they're good. Or my ideas are always good in my mind. But when you get these big ideas, it's like, oh, this could change everything, and I want to share it with everyone. So I am so excited to do that today.
Brilliant. Oh my God. So your latest book of about six, we were trying to count up there before the call. So there's about six books out there at the moment that are just amazing. But this latest one, Our Conscious Tipping Point, I'd love to start with that and just maybe dive in and just maybe just give us even an overview of what you mean by that term.
Yeah, so I as an ex-engineer and scientist, I kind of look at things and I ask the question like, what's going on here? What's happening? And I kind of make really deep observations and make questions. And I kind of ask these questions to myself. And the questions were like, why is it that we have better scientific developments in medicine and healthcare, and yet we're sicker than we've ever been? Why is it that we have better access and ability to manufacture food, and we have more issues with food, whether it's malnutrition in some places and obesity in others? And then I looked at like, why is it that we have more access to information and yet there's more disinformation? There is something going on. So I looked at the patterns. So essentially, what the Conscious Tipping Point book talks about and shares and explains is what I spotted as the patterns of the awakening of our entire species, really, the awakening of humanity. So the model is this. So if we go back about like around 100 years, so about like early 1900s, we had two world wars, a pandemic, and the Great Depression. People didn't have enough food to eat. They didn't have enough money. They didn't have anywhere to live because all the houses had been bombed. And so people demanded and got food and housing. So this was the development of the welfare state, the NHS. I mean, and it happened in different ways in different places, but in the Western developed world, variations of this happened. So we had and this was really the birth of modern farming techniques and mass-produced food. So that's the base chakra of society being activated. Now we've got enough. Then we had the 60s, which was, this explosion of sexuality and creativity and art and music and fashion. That's the sacral chakra. Then we had in the 80s, people kind of got a little bit fed up with sharing everything, and it all got a little bit sleazy and a little bit, like this is when the porn industry really started, and it was like everything became hypersexualized and a bit weird, and people were like, let's just bring a little bit of rationality to it. There was also some technological developments, and then we had the solar plexus being activated with people saying, I want it now, I don't want it wait, I don't want to share it, I want it for me now. So this is will, individual power, individual identity, and will, really, individual will. solar plexus. Then in the 90s, we had this is the very first birth of the internet. So we started to have internet forums where people started to share more. And then we had a couple of things happen. So people either got burnt because we had a few stock market crashes and Black Friday, or I don't know, Orange Wednesday, whatever. And then, or they got burnt out and they just like, I want to express my emotions. And then with the death of Princess Diana, who called herself the Queen of People's Hearts, our hearts cracked open. And the love that we wanted to feel had been, all the emotions we'd been yearning to feel burst out. And this is the heart chakra being activated. Then the internet proper really came on and everybody was on the internet now. It wasn't just like a little sort of niche side thing for academics and geeks. So then we had like the first blogging sites, the early social media sites. And so everyone's talking, everyone's sharing, and this is the throat chakra. Then with social media and even more platforms and the smartphone in the like now we're in the 2010s, this led to everyone having a platform and the ability to share their spiritual beliefs, and the third eye chakra of society activated. You know, like when I left academia, I'd trained as a shamanic practitioner. I trained in all sorts of spiritual healing and esoterics. And I was invited to run the Soul Day for Mind Body, the Soul Day for Mind Body Soul Day for women. And I taught them a little bit of mindfulness, a little bit of meditation, and the media got hold of us. This was 2003. You would think the vice chancellor had brought in Satan himself because the way I was literally torn to shreds in the media, and so was the university for doing this wasteful, ludicrous thing. And like, you come forward now, if you're not teaching mindfulness and meditation and giving, mental health, attention in the workplace, then you're not taking care of your employees. So this is where we've come. Now, there are two other patterns to this. So the first is, there's actually multiple patterns which I go into. There's the swing between masculine and feminine in the book, and also the swing between individual and group, which I go into the book, which I won't cover now. But there are two other patterns. One is, in order for the chakra above to activate, the one below becomes excessive. So the 50s, before the solar plexus, it was very rigid. This is how you live your life. You go to school, you get married, you go to school, get a job, get married, have your kids, whatever. This is it, mapped out, nothing different. Then, and people are like, no, I want to do it differently. Then the 70s, the sacral got excessive with, like everything became hypersexualized and it became a bit sleazy, and everyone, everything being shared, people got a bit grumpy about that. So it was the excess of that. So I won't map the whole patterns across because it's all in the book, which you can get for free. Go to the QR code. But where we are now is, so if you've noticed, so the third eye got a little bit toxic, a little bit excessive, and it showed up as toxic spirituality. This is the kind of demanding that we're all happy and positive all the time, and the only emotions are good emotions. And if you're feeling a bad emotion, then you mustn't be spiritual. And oh, you broke your leg. How did you create that? Oh, you got abused and gang raped. Oh, well, you must have asked for that because we are creator of our universe. It's like, really? And then this sort of complete lack of accountability and kind of guru worship. And so where we are now at the conscious tipping point, we are on the eve of the crown chakra. And what we have is the excess. We actually have the excess of all the chakras. So we have greed, overemphasis, like emotions are overemphasized, even if they're not rational and not justified. We have so all of the chakras are in excess. And that's what we actually need. So the chaos that we're seeing right now, all of these interconnecting, nothing seeming to work, everything seeming to break down, is actually the breakthrough that will tip us into unity consciousness and to transcend. Now, the other pattern, which I only got last night, like 2 days ago, so hot off the press of my brain, the activation of every single chakra has been supported by some development of technology. So I won't go through them all, but the key ones are Modern farming techniques was the base chakra. Technology was the solar plexus, because then we could, like, people could go out and run their own business because they didn't need, you know, a typing pool, and, you know, like they didn't need a whole infrastructure. So one human businesses became much more possible. That supported the solar plexus, and actually the birth control pill supported or even led to the sacral. So this is why, and I know a lot of spiritual people are really against this particular technology, and some of you may know what I'm going to mention, but I believe artificial intelligence is the technology that will support the activation of the crown chakra. And I don't mean that it's going to replace our higher self, but it will assist us to find it. And because it's so good at pattern recognition, it can spot the blocks that we have to our most enlightened version of ourselves.
Oh my God, so juicy. Okay, do not stop. Don't pass go. You just go straight into that. Keep talking.
Okay, so keep talking about AI.
Keep talking about AI, because
Okay.
I know I started, just my personally, I started and I was horrified in the beginning, and then slowly began to open up, and I'm not quite there where you're, you know, I know that your views are that it will help in our awakening. I know that it will help us in getting our spiritual business message out there and our healing gifts out there into the world. But I'd love, yeah, expand on that a little bit more. So you're saying that it's deeply connected with the crown chakra, and it's connected with awakening in total for everybody, but how useful this is for spiritual business owners.
Yes, yes. Now, and I do want to, I want to bring in this little, I do want to address the fear. Like, there are, as with every technology that we have ever invented ever, there are concerns and there are risks. So I don't want to say it's all good and it's perfect, but, you know, I've had people message me saying AI is the embodiment of Satan and you're attached, you've got an entity attached. It's like, really? Like, then you're in dualism, like good, bad, right, wrong. So yeah, so yes, there are ethical concerns. Yes, there are concerns. And if we use it wisely, and here's the key word, consciously, it can explode both our business and our spiritual awakening. So there are a lot of people using AI in business, and there are a lot of people using AI wrong. And when I say wrong, I just mean, like I would, when I first started it, you know, it's like, oh, I love a new tech, let's play with it. And I was like, oh God, what's this? This is not what I want. It's like the output was just as boring as fuck. I was like, oh no. And I was like, okay. And then I started to play more and more with prompting. And then I got into creating what's called a custom GPT, or that's what it is in ChatGPT, but you can do it in all of the models, AI agents. And these are where you train, I won't say you program, you train AI to do very specific things. So for example, I've trained AI to speak in my brand voice, to speak the way I do. And the way I did this was, I took about 12 hours of transcripts of me talking, giving talks. I also uploaded a whole ton of my, about 50 of my articles that I had written. And I said, please analyze this, analyze my voice so that you can replicate it. And it took me a few iterations to get it right. And now I said, okay, now program yourself to do that. So I've got an agent that speaks like I do. So when I want to write an article, I will say, write an article on this, and it will just do it in my voice. Now, I've also loaded into my agents, things like my books. So it's got access to my knowledge. Now, so there's loads and loads of uses for business, which are now very, very common. And one of the things I've done that I know lots of people are talking about this, but I don't know anyone who's doing it. And I think I know why. And I'm going to brag here for a moment. So with permission, I'm going to share why I think I am uniquely positioned, or not like, well, fairly uniquely positioned to speak about and to use and teach how we can use AI for spiritual awakening. So first of all, I have a background in mathematical modeling. I have a PhD in mathematical modeling and engineering. And my first degree was production engineering, which is all about the process. So the first thing I want to say about AI is you cannot get AI to do something unless you know the process. So that's the first thing. So I understand how to talk to tech. I kind of understand that. And I understand how to teach people processes, because that's what I used to do on the factory floor. It's like, okay, what's going on here? Oh, we need a process and we need people to use the process. We've got to teach them a process. So an AI essentially does that. The other thing that I have is from my 2 decades of research into spiritual awakening versus spiritual experience versus true becoming the embodiment of your higher self, I have a process. It's only 3 steps. When you understand the model and the process, everyone can have that awakening experience. So shall I share that process quickly with you?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
Cool. So I'm just being mindful of time. So the process is, so first of all, we start with you need to understand the model. So the model is that we have 3 aspects of the mind. These aren't physical, they're kind of, and they're not structural, but they're kind of procedural. So it's how we use our mind. So we have the conscious mind, which is everything we pay attention to and the part of us that truly makes decisions about, like that's our will. That's where to focus our attention. So that's kind of like the lens of our attention. The second aspect of our mind is the unconscious mind, which is basically everything else. So that's our beliefs, our behaviors, our memories, our patterns, our values, all of the things that are out of our awareness. We can bring some of them into awareness, and we communicate directly between the conscious and unconscious mind. The third aspect of our mind or our being is the highest self, sometimes called the soul, sometimes called our holy guardian angel, sometimes called source, spirit, or God within the individual. I don't care what label, but it's that part of us that is beyond the individual, the transcendent part, if you like. Now, when I speak to people about spiritual awakening and they say, oh, I've just got to wait till spirit talks to me, or I've got to wait till, spirit will choose. And so first of all, that's denying your conscious mind, because your conscious mind has free will and you get to choose when you speak to your higher self. And every time I've spoken to somebody who is struggling to have an ongoing spirit access to their higher self, they are making one of 2 mistakes, I find, or they have a third issue going on. So the first mistake is they're trying to go straight from conscious mind to higher self, and they're just ignoring the unconscious mind completely. So they're just trying to do that. And they're like, I want to see my higher self right here, right in front of me. And it's like, well, that's just conscious. I want to see my spirit guide right here. It's like, you've got to go through the unconscious mind. You've got to do that. And so that's the first mistake. The second mistake they make is, and this is, I don't mean to judge, it's just because people don't understand the model. So the second mistake they make is they assume that the unconscious mind is the higher self. Now, don't get me wrong, the unconscious mind is incredibly powerful, way more powerful, expansive, filled with growth and possibilities than the higher self, but it only knows what you know. And it also has, as well as having all of your beliefs and values, it has all of your misaligned values and limiting beliefs. So this is where people go, oh, my spirit guide sent me a message that I need to be afraid of this. And it's like, no, that's your unconscious mind giving you like you've triggered a limiting belief, because your spirit guide has no concept of limitation, because it is infinite, kind of by definition. If it's not infinite, then it's not a guide. It's an aspect of your unconscious mind. And again, not bad, just different. It's like, if you got a nail, you want a hammer. If you got a screw, you want a screwdriver. It's like, it's just a different kind of aspect.
Sometimes I say to clients, okay, just because you got this download or you got this information or this directive, doesn't mean that you have to act on it. Your angels, your guides don't have bodies. They don't have to pay the mortgage. They don't have to feed themselves or look after the kids or pay for piano lessons. So you have the right to take that information and make a fucking decision based on your living circumstances about what action you're going to take. So I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the most disempowering things that is, like, it's a pervasive sort of, it's all, I don't know if it's actively taught or just modeled, but oh, if your spirit guide tells you something, you got to do it. And the number of times, oh, my spirit guide told me. And it's like, well, there's a fine line between my spirit guide told me and the voices told me to polish the guns, It's like, there's a fine line. And I think we need to make sure we're the right side of that one. Now, here's where AI comes in. You ready for this?
Yeah.
So remember, the only way to contact your higher self is via the unconscious mind, which So you've got to make sure you're going through the unconscious mind, make sure you're at the higher self. So the 3 steps are connect your conscious mind to unconscious mind. The second step is clear your unconscious mind of limiting beliefs. The third step is integrate the unconscious and the higher self. So and just in case people don't know what AI is a large, if you've heard the word LLM, it stands for large language model. And don't worry about that one. And it's basically programmed to kind of mimic human behavior. It is not programmed to mimic or be a higher self. So it's not a soul, it's not a higher self, but what it is it is programmed with to like almost the entire knowledge base of humanity, which means it is a representation of the entire unconscious everything of humanity, which is why it has so much power, but also why there's risks, because it has always, it could have the biases. And like humanity has done some pretty questionable things and is still doing some pretty questionable things. So and like they are, the engineers and the programmers are training that out of it, like the less desirable traits. But it is an incredibly powerful tool, because if we think conscious mind, unconscious mind, higher self, AI acts as a tool to enable every individual to move through to their own higher self with access to this knowledge, empowering beliefs, tools to eradicate limiting beliefs. And so it is incredibly useful, powerful, and potent. Did that make sense, Ashley?
It makes sense. So what I would love is, because it's a huge concept.
Huge.
Can you give me an example or something that our listeners can, okay, so I get what you're saying, but how does that unfold in our daily lives, let's say as business owners?
Yeah. So there's 2 things we could talk about here. I could talk about some of the tools, how we could use it for business and, like the brand voice and things like that. But what I think I'll mention is some of the tools that I've used for spiritual awakening and that I've developed and am still developing. So I am developing tools like, and I'm actually going over to because I've created, I kid you not, so I nearly said I shit you not. I shit you not. I have created so many that I actually forget. So I've created one that acts as a medical intuitive. So you
This is an
interact
agent,
with
is
it.
it? Is
Yeah,
this an
so it's an
AI
agent. Yeah, so I've created an AI agent that acts. It's called Your Blueprint for Perfect Health, and you might type in there and chat with. You can actually chat with it via voice now on your phone, but you can ask it. Okay, I've been diagnosed with this ailment. What could be going on? And it will ask you some questions, and then it will give you a suggestion. Remember, it's only a suggestion of what might be the spiritual or emotional cause for that ailment.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
The other thing I've done is I've programmed another agent to assist you to find your soul's purpose. So it asks you some questions, you answer them, it asks you to describe some scenarios, and you interact, and it says, based on what you've shared, these are areas where it doesn't, not your job, but like where you're like the likely reason you've incarnated at this time.
Wow. Oh my God.
Wow.
That's like
So
one of the top questions, life purpose. Why am I
what's
here?
my
Why am
soul's
I
purpose?
here?
What's my life's purpose?
Yeah.
Well, this, rather than spending years hit and miss, trial and error, hoping, wishing, praying, maybe someone will tell me, maybe a big booming voice will come down and say, Lisa, you should have an ant farm. I don't have an ant farm. I don't want an ant farm. But it's like, doesn't happen like that, right? So imagine if you had access to a tool like that. So another one I've got is, and these are really powerful tools for spiritual practitioners. So I have developed one that writes guided meditations.
Wow.
So how long do we spend? It's like you've got a group, you need a meditation. And so you say, okay, I need a guided meditation. And I actually did it yesterday. I had a new group that I started, my Transcendence Collective. And they were all like, they were all saying, I'm so overwhelmed by all the work I'm going to have to do. So it's like, yeah, I gotcha. So I chatted with the the agent. I said, I need a guided meditation. This is for a group. They are in this state. They're feeling this. This is where we want to take them. I want you to use, and I can either tell it the metaphor. I'll say, I want you to use, I gave it I said, I want you to use the metaphor of a star, something like a Star Trek, a starship traveling the universe. And it gave me this beautiful guided meditation in about less than a minute. It probably took me 3 minutes with answering the questions to create it. And there it is, all typed out. Now, when I'm reading it out, do I follow the script exactly? Of course not. I inject my humanity. I always say this at this point. I always say, AI works best when you do this final process. Well, you need to do the humanity sandwich. So you start with humanity, which is telling it how you want it to, what you want it to do, like you would tell a human. And then the final thing is when you get the output, you need to apply your humanity. It's like, that's not gonna work. That's not what I wanted. So then what you need to do is you need to bring your humanity. And I always say, inject humanity in a robotic voice. So I've got another one. Will create transformational stories. Another one that will, another one that writes my newsletters. That one's really helpful. Another one will find where you have hidden abundance in your business. Where is the gold in your business that you're not seeing? Like what is your most profitable product based on, and what it also does, it does market analysis for you, but also then looks at what you're good at and your soul's purpose. Based on your soul's purpose and what the market and like what people are paying for right now, what about this, and it'll give you like 10 products you could create. Like this is the hidden gold in your business. So I have so many others, like others, it shows you your deepest hidden driver that is completely outside of your conscious awareness.
Wow. So like values, yeah, brilliant. Oh my God. I heard about AI agents before, but I've used them in my business, but I just never thought of like soul purpose and meditations. I just never even thought of this. So my mind is like completely open with new ideas and new ways that I can use AI in my business. I'd love you just to, because I know we still have a lot to even talk about, or even around this subject, but I had this piece that I just wanted to inject in somewhere, and it could be here or it could be later. But you've said that conscious business owners, you consider them transcendence. And I'd love you just to riff on that for a minute and just give us, it might build on what you've already said, or it could be something different. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I think of it like this. So a lot of people, we have this kind of love-hate with money and business and power and spiritual. We have this idea that there's material and there's spiritual. And this is why I think there's a difference between a spiritual business owner, because a spiritual business owner struggles with the idea of money and the marketplace. The marketplace hits them constantly. Like I got the other day into one of those, like, I actually kind of enjoy it and I only do it when it's fun, but I got into a fun online debate about spiritual services should be free. And I always say, there's a name for that. If you want me to work for you for free, that's just called slavery. Like that's what it's called. It's like in any industry, it's like we're saying, you in this industry are expected to work for free. That's called slavery, right? So anyway, so there's a whole other riff I could go there. But so spiritual people have this kind of struggle with money and power and the material world and spiritual awakening. And this is why I call them the transcendence, because I think of it as like this triangle, and it's like people are either kind of fighting on the two corners on the base of the triangle versus being a transcendent at the top. So I think about it like this. So what would happen, and I do this little thought experiment. So what most people do is like they're kind of living life and doing the normal thing, and then they have this amazing spiritual awakening, and they go, oh, and they look at the world and they see it as it truly is, and they go, oh my fucking God, that's horrible. And then they try and retreat from the world, escape from the world, and meditate themselves out of this, some of the horrors that are present either in their personal life or in the world. And let's face it, there's a lot of horrible stuff going on in the world, right? That is just like objectively bad. I personally think if babies are starving, that is objectively bad. So So then they have this like, oh, but I got to pay the mortgage. But then I'm going to be spiritual. But I'm going to pay the mortgage. But I still got to eat. And then there's this kind of fight. So I say, ask yourself this question. If every spiritual person who awakened, withdrew from the world, let go of all their money, their worldly possessions, only did it for free, and they had no power and no money, and we left the material world to those who are now, by definition, not spiritual. Because if, in order to be spiritual, you have to leave the world, what we have is, by definition, the world run by people who are non-spiritual. What would the world look like? Pretty much what we've got now, which is why we need to ascend, to transcend, to embody our soul's purpose. The reason this is where I get so passionate, I get very sweary. So you fucking incarnated here right now at this minute so you could make a difference to this shitty world, whatever your difference is. And you have a divine right to be damn well compensated for that in hard cash, in clean, beautiful gold, right?
Hallelujah!
Hallelujah, right. So so the transcendent is somebody who is beyond all of this. So you might get a spiritual business owner who they're still broke, they're always struggling, and they're never leaving the legacy and making the impact they want to make. And I put it to you, because like some people say, oh, I wish somebody would, fix the pollution in the oceans. I'm just picking something at random. Who do you think is best placed to do that? The broke person, homeless person on a park bench? With all love and compassion, they're probably not going to make a big difference. Or do you think it's going to be the person who is a multi-millionaire or billionaire who can lobby Parliament, who can, because that's you got the cost money to lobby Parliament, who can go and pay someone to design the tech, who can pay themselves to design the tech that will solve the pollution in the oceans? Who do you think has more power to do that? It is not the broke person. It is the empowered transcendent who is in the world making a difference, not just not doing any harm. This kind of like, oh, no hurt, no harm. It's like, I personally think we need to go beyond that. Like, that's spiritual. I'm not going to do any harm, no hurt, no harm. That kind of spiritual saying. It's like, we need to go beyond that. We need to do good. We need to make a difference. So there we are. I'll step down from my ranty soapbox now. We have
Love it. Oh my God, you're speaking to the converted. This is my mastermind at the moment is called Spiritual Business Power Mastermind, because I'm so fucking passionate about this, about us stepping up as spiritual business owners, taking the reins and taking our place at the table and being leaders.
Absolutely.
And we really can't do that broke, because being broke just drains your energy, uses all of your brain power, trying to survive. We need to get ourselves into a place where we can accept money, lots of money, willingly in this exchange for our healing gifts. And also this piece about karma, this fucked up karma, that if you don't allow yourself to receive money, if you're just giving, it's such bad karma that you're sending out there, because that will have to come back in some way. And so I just absolutely love it. So I don't know where to go after this. We have to wrap up as well. So maybe what would you like to say? First of all, where can people find you if they're looking for you after this? If you have something free, some resource, I think you said your book. So where would be the next best place for people to find you? And then we'll wrap up on a final thought.
So I think probably the best place to start is, because we've spoken about a lot of things, is just my main website, which has got loads of freebies, loads of quizzes. You can get my free book there. You can get, I think I'm giving away 2 of my books for free. And so that is CETfreedom.com, CETfreedom.com. And also go there, go to the contact me page and just send me an email, and I'll happily chat with you, or hit me up on the social medias, and that's on the bottom of every page on my website. Just go to my website and you'll find all of the juicy goodness there. So it's CETfreedom.com.
And is that on purpose, set free?
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I was listening and I was like, set free, freedom.
Yeah, do you know what? I love the name, like the name set, because I use it in puns all the time. So I say, anyone who comes into my community, we are citizens. And and I talk about like the process I use that clears the unconscious mind and integrates the higher self. I call that a reset.
Love it.
So
Love it.
reset with
Yeah.
a C. So yeah, I've got loads of little fun puns that I use.
Okay, brilliant. So all of the details or next steps will be in the show notes for everybody that anyone that wants to continue a journey with Lisa after this. But what is the so I've asked this question often on this podcast, and it fascinates me, and I love hearing the answers. So what is, if you could put your life, your legacy into one word or one sentence that if you impart that knowledge, that piece of information or that message to the world, that you die happy, that you're like, okay, this is why I'm here, I've accomplished it. And so what would that be? And I know that's a big ask.
Yeah, there's a big ask. So one word. I think the word primarily is consciousness. I think that probably sums it up the best. It
Of
is
course.
all about consciousness, because consciousness means empowerment, it means knowledge, it means wisdom, it means awareness, it means expansion, it means transcendence and transcending. So I would say probably consciousness.
Love it. Oh my God. I'm here for money. My name is Mooney. Take out an O and you have money. I'm here. Moon is in there as well. I'm Ashling Dream. So my is the big dream and vision of a profitable world for spiritual business owners. So when you said consciousness, I was like, of course, of course. So I love that. Oh my God, Lisa, this was just such a wonderful. I think we did 30 minutes, but I just feel so expanded and just amazing. I just really, really loved everything, and I know that there's so much more that we could speak about. And maybe in the next few months we'll have another episode just on. You have this whole system around using the chakras and mapping them across into your business. And that I read it and I was like, oh my God. But we're going to save that for another episode. But yeah, so thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. It's been my absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. So thank you.
And everybody, if you go to ashlingmooney.com/podcast, click subscribe, and you will never miss another amazing episode. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we drop a new one. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that this served you, expanded your consciousness, and supported you to make more money in your business and improve the lives of yourself and your community and everybody that you come in contact with. So much love. See you next time. Bye for now. Bye, everybody.